Is it going? It's going. Hi guys, what's up? Welcome to a new mathematics video. It's me, Mr. Moustache Mathematics here, aka Mr. Stringer, bringing you a new video of the day. Today's video is a GCSE foundation paper for Year 11's homework. Today we've got a special guest, T Mac, aka
Hi.
Mr. Macready, who's going to be your maths person today. Now, Mr. Macready is going to be solving the maths paper. Pay attention. Now,
Right.
Mr. Macready, you've got to use your finger to...
I've filled in my name already, and I'm going to try not to make any mistakes. I know I've got to use a black ink or ballpoint pen and fill in the boxes, and I can use a calculator because it says so on here. Right.
You give me a shout if you need anything, sir.
Might need the formula sheet. Hang on a second. Sir, can you shut the door? Thank you. I like a bit of privacy. So, first question. Write down the number marked with the arrow, so it's just a case of looking at the scale and deciding what the scale is going up in, and then clearly in this it is going up in tenths. So write down the number marked with the arrow there is going to be 22.7, as it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 along. So next question, mark with an arrow the number 5.26. So again, first thing to do is read the scale and work out what it is going up in. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, which means each section is going to be worth 0.02. So this section is 5.22. This one is 5.24. So it's mark number 5.26, that is that one. Okay, moving on. Correctly complete the following four statements by writing a word from the box on each of the dotted lines. 10 is a what of 40? Well, it's process of elimination. It cannot be a multiple of 40 because it's not bigger. It's not a sum because I haven't added two words together. So I've got a choice of prime, factor, square or triangular. 10 isn't a square number, so I can rule that out. 10 is a factor of 40. 49 is a square number. I know this because 7 multiplied by 7 is 49. 17 is a what kind of number? Well, I have used square, I have used factor. So left I've got prime, triangular, multiple and sum. Well, prime just doesn't, multiple doesn't make sense. 17 is a multiple number, doesn't make sense, so it can't be that. 17 is a sum number, that also doesn't just grammatically make sense, so it's either triangular or prime. Triangular numbers start with 1 and then 3, 5, 9. So the triangular numbers go out like that, but I'm looking at 17 and I'm wondering what are the factors of 17. And it's got 1 and 17, so it's only got two factors, so 17 is a prime number. So 48 is 8 of 8. Well, prime's gone, so it's either triangular of 8, which doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to rule that out. A sum of 8, well, sum means sum of more than one number added together, which hasn't happened here, which means we must be left with multiple. Because 48 is in the 8 times table. 6 multiplied by 8 is 48. Question 3. Calvin asked some teachers how many children they have. Don't know if that's Calvin Antunes, but we shall find out. The table shows information about his results. Number of children, number of teachers. Calvin started to draw a pictogram for the information in the table. He showed the information for teachers with 0 and 1 child. Okay, so I've been given information on how to answer this question. It's just a case of me using it. How many teachers does a stick man represent? So I know that 24 teachers, had one child each. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stick men represent 24 teachers. So therefore that's enough information to work out how many each. So I'm going to take the 24 and divide it by 6, which tells me that each of those little stick men is worth 4. Complete the pictogram from the information in the table. So not the information in this table, but I've got to go back up to this table. So 16 teachers had 2 children each. So I've got to, how many 4s make 16? So that is 4. That is 8. That is 12. And that is 16. Obviously my drawing is spectacular as usual. And then 3 children. 10 teachers had 3 children, so I've got to do 10. So 4, 8, and this is where I have to be a bit clever with the information, because if I put another one on, that will be 12. So I need half a person, because half a person will represent 2. So we've got 4, 4 and 2. Add those together, that gives me 10. Find the total number of teachers Calvin asked. Fairly straightforward. Just go back up to the table. 8, 24, 16 and 10. So 8 plus 24 plus 16 plus 10. Now feel free to use a calculator at this point in time, but I'm going to go 24 add 16 is 40, add 10 is 50, add 8 is 58. Find the ratio of the number of teachers with 1 child to the number of teachers with 2 children. Give your ratio in its simplest form. So I've got 2 pieces of information there. Firstly, find a ratio, and secondly, I must remember to do this to get all the marks on the question. So find the ratio of number of teachers with 1 child to the number of teachers with 2 children. So the number of teachers with 1 child, is 24. So 1 child to 2 children. 1 child is 24 teachers, and 2 children 16. Now at this point in time I can leave that as my answer. I will get a mark, but I won't get all the marks because I need to go back to the question and check that I've answered it properly. Have I found the ratio? Yes. I must now give it in its simplest form. So I need to find a common factor of 24 and 16 and divide these numbers down. So we'll divide by 2 to start off with, which will give me 12 to 8. Now 12 to 8, not 18. Let's get rid of that. Now 12 to 8 can be simplified again, and this time instead of just dividing by 2, I want to think what's a higher factor of 12 and 8. I can divide them both by 4, which will give me 3 to 2. And that is it in its simplest form. 3 is a prime number and so is 2, so their factors are one and themselves, so cancelling down isn't going to happen anymore. Right, question 4. Write 124 correct to the nearest 10. So 124, where is the tens column? It is here. Put my rounding line in. Rounding rules, 5 and above round up, 4 and below stay the same, so the 4 doesn't do anything to the 2. So the nearest 10 to 124 is 120. Write the number 3,821 in words. Well, fairly simple, as I've just said it, and it's always a good thing to do is to say that in your head during the exam. Don't say it out loud, people don't like that. Trying to get used to using this pen, as my writing isn't the best at the best of times, but this is harder. Right, 80.75 correct to the nearest whole number. So again, it's the same rounding skills as part A. I've just got to know what whole number means. Whole number means no decimals. So the rounding line is here. Cut off the decimals. The 7 rounds the 0 up to a 1. So the answer is 81. Find the sum of 1,727 and 1,415. This relies on our literacy skills. We need to know what the word sum means, which you will see on Excel spreadsheets and the like. Sum means an addition of the two numbers. So 1,727 plus 1,415. At this point, you can use a calculator. Oops, come back. So 1,727 plus 1,415. Just check that I've got my digits correct. Yes, I have. 3,142. Flying here, flying. Probably going too quickly. Question 5. Here is a probability scale. Okay, so there's a few letters on it. It's told me where is halfway along, so I've got a scale to work out as well. Jasmine has a bag of 12 sweets. There are 6 red, 2 yellow and 4 green. Jasmine takes at random a sweet from the bag. Write down the letter of the arrow that points to the probability that Jasmine takes a red sweet. So I need to know the probability of taking a red sweet. So I've got to now understand how to write a probability. And there's a clue here because it's given us half, and we can write probabilities as a fraction. So a red sweet as a fraction, well, there are 6 red sweets out of 12 in the bag. 6 out of 12 cancels down to 3 over 6, which cancels down to a half, so therefore C is the correct answer. Jasmine takes a sweet that is not yellow. So yellow is 2 out of 12, which means taking a yellow sweet is a chance of 10 out of 12. So 10 out of 12 is quite a high probability. So we're looking at either D or E. E is under the number 1 and certain, therefore by process of elimination it must be D. Jasmine takes a purple sweet. The probability of taking a purple sweet is fairly straightforward. At this point people say, but sir, there are no purple sweets. Correct. Therefore it is impossible, and the answer is A. Well, it would be if it hadn't scrolled on me. Question 6. Here are the first 5 terms of a number sequence. So, fairly straightforward. Those that I've taught you before, you might at this point be thinking nth term, and that's not a bad thing to be thinking at all. It could well be a question on that. Write down the next term of the sequence. Okay, so from doing our nth term, we just know to look at the pattern. So we've got a difference of 6. Difference of 6, difference of 6, so it's clearly going up in 6s, so I just need to do 27 plus 6, which will give me 33. Explain how you found your term by adding 6. Here's the rule to find the next term of a different sequence. Multiply the previous term by 3, then subtract 5, which I could write differently, but that will do as it is. So find the first term of this sequence is 12. So it says multiply the previous. Previous is a key word in this question. Previous meaning the one before. So the first term of the sequence is 12. So I need to do 12 multiplied by 3. And then it tells me to subtract 5. So on to question 7. ABC, BDF and ADE are straight lines. You might think, why is it telling me that? It's telling you that because it needs to, and you can clearly see them. So ABC from here to here, going via B. BDF, yep, going via here. And ADE, yep, they are straight lines. It's told me in 2 different places. Write down the size of angle X. So I'm going to need some knowledge to do this of angles. Angle X is vertically opposite this angle 42. And I'd hope you'd know that vertically opposite angles are equal in their size. So that is 42 degrees. Fairly straightforward. Work out the size of angle Y. So this is going to take a little bit more knowledge. But it has already told me that ABC is a straight line. So it's no surprise that this is something to do with angles on a straight line. So what we can do is take that straight line, create angle Y here, and this side it has told us is 131 degrees. In order to do this, you need knowledge of angles on a straight line. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. So 180 minus 131 . 49 degrees. Super. Hasn't asked me for a reason because it's only 1 mark, so that will do. Work out the size of angle Z. Okay, so where is angle Z? How is this angle here? Give a reason for your answer. So 2 mark question. I'm going to get 1 mark for the angle and I'm going to get 1 mark for the reason. So it's going to be a fairly straightforward reason. Now, they've asked me to work out angle Z. They've also previously asked me to work out angle Y, which we worked out to be 49 degrees. Often in these questions they follow through. That's why they're part of the same question. So one answer might lead you to another. Quite common. So work out the size of angle Z. So where is angle Z? Well, angle Z is in this triangle ABD. So what do we know about angles inside a triangle? Well, they add up to 180 degrees. So we've got an angle of 42, angle of 49 and a missing angle. So we need 180 minus 42 minus 49 . .89 degrees. So I've got myself a mark, happy with that. Give a reason for your answer. Well, the reason is very simple, that's how I worked it out. That angle is inside a triangle, and I know that angles in a triangle add to 180 degrees, so two marks, job done. Question 8. On the shape above, draw the lines of symmetry of a shape. So the knowledge I need, lines of symmetry. I need to understand that symmetry is a reflection, so one side is exactly the same as the other. I'm sure there is a ruler tool on here, but the moustache hasn't showed me. So if I put a line of symmetry down the middle, this side will fold onto this side, no problem. If I put a line of symmetry through here, then the top half will fall onto the bottom half. So I've got 2. It's only worth 1 mark, which means I need to get both lines of symmetry in order to do it. Now I've just discovered the ruler, so we're going to make this a lot neater. Right, back in the game. Mr. Stringer showed me how to move the ruler, as I need help from time to time. Let's press the thing. There we are.
You go, so you go.
Thanks, moustache.
You're very welcome.
So, got to use a ruler. Select my pen and line of symmetry there, and the other line of symmetry when we get to 90 degrees. Sorry, sir?
Half a sweet chilli wrap.
Do you want half a sweet chilli wrap? No, I'm in the middle of doing a paper. Leave me alone. I'm trying to concentrate.
Okay. Food fuels the mind.
Food fuels the mind. Okay, so there's the 2 lines of symmetry. I'm only going to get both of those. I'm only going to get 1 mark if I get both of those lines of symmetry. So 1 line will not cut it. Shade 5 more squares on the shape below, so the shape has rotational symmetry of order 4. So in order to do that, I've first got to understand what rotational symmetry is. and also what the order of 4 means. Rotational symmetry meaning when I rotate the shape, it will look the same. It will look as if I haven't rotated it, and therefore I can do that 4 times, so each time it turns through 90 degrees it still looks the same. What I would suggest you do in an exam is at this point your hand should be going up in the air and you should be asking for a piece of tracing paper, because this is the easiest way to do it. Anyway, these are the ones I need. Straight away I need to make sure that the shape is symmetrical everywhere we look, so these corners are now all filled in. So essentially it's a reflection here. This square is a reflection of this one, this square is a reflection of this one, that one's a reflection of that one. At this point I still need to draw 2 more squares, so in order to have my symmetrical pattern. And what you'll notice is that this shape is symmetrical this way and this way. Therefore it is going to have an order of 4. On the grid, draw the quadrilateral with 1 line of symmetry. Draw a quadrilateral with 1 line of symmetry and no rotational symmetry. Right, let's get the ruler back out. So a quadrilateral, first up, knowledge. Quadrilateral, quad means 4, so I'm drawing a 4-sided shape. A 4-sided shape with 1 line of symmetry and no rotational symmetry. So think of my 4-sided shapes. Can't be a square or a rectangle, as they both have more than 1 line of symmetry. So we are going to be looking at for rhombus, parallelogram, kite and isosceles trapezium, and I'm going to choose a kite. Always important to use a ruler. Be accurate. You do not want an examiner having to try and make a decision on what you've drawn, because it is not accurate. So while this is a little bit more awkward for me than it will be for you in an exam, there we go. So the kite has 1 line of symmetry, which is through here, and it has no rotational symmetry at all. If we rotate that, it is not going to look exactly as it is until we get back to the start. The other shape I could have drawn is a isosceles trapezium. Right, these decimals in order of size start with the smallest decimal. So what we need to look at is, this is 6/10, this is 6/10, 6/100, 6/10, and 6/1000. If I've split something into 1,000 pieces, they're going to be a lot smaller than everything else. So 0.00679 needs to come first. That's that number used. So next, tenths, tenths, hundredths, tenths. So I want to be hundredths next. If we split something into 100 pieces, they will be slightly bigger than if I split something into 1,000 pieces. So 0.0632 used. So now I'm looking at which is the biggest here. This is 6/10 and 7/1000, 6/10 and 6/100. But essentially we're going to look at this second column, which has got the smallest number in this second column, and that's 0.607. So now that's that used. Which has got the smallest number in the hundreds column is this one, 0.615, which means the largest number here is 0.66. Must get them all right to get the mark, as it's only worth 1 mark. Alright, 24 is a fraction of 80. Give your fraction in its simplest form. So again, write 24 as a fraction of 80, very, very simple. It's a 2-mark question, and here is where I'm going to earn my 2nd mark. Give the fraction in its simplest form. So I'm going to need to now divide this, but what I can do at this point is get my calculator. 24 over 80. The calculator will do it for me. 3/10. Right, 9% as a decimal. Well, 9% means 9 out of 100. So again, back to the calculator. At this point, you might think that it's not told me anything because it's in third form, so we press SD, change it to a decimal, 0.09. You could of course have just done 9 divided by 100. 43% of a class has a school lunch. What percentage of the class did not have a school lunch? Well, 100% is all of something, and we have removed 43%, which is going to leave us with 57%. Work out 2/9 of 18.45 kilograms. So here, this is where we need to remember of, and I know I've made some of my classes make this note, we can also write that as 2/9 multiplied by 18.54. So when you see that word of, it translates into a multiply. So calculator out. Just make sure I'm getting the right figures in. 18.54. Again, let's put it in as a third, as a fraction, so third to decimal, 4.12. Increase 4,600 by 27%. Increase, make bigger, make sure your answer is more than 4,600. And that's exactly what I'm going to type into my calculator. If it seems simple, everything's easy when you know how. Number 10, here is a machine, a number machine. Now this is something that I don't know, for some unknown reason, that I find lots of students trip up on. Input means what number you're putting in, output means what we get at the end. Here are the instructions. Common errors with this is people think, well, I absolutely must follow BIDMAS, so I must do the multiply 3 before the take away 8. You don't, you simply follow the arrows. So work out the output when the input is -2. So instead of input, I've got -2, which means I'm now going to take away 8. -2 take away 8 is -10. If I then multiply -10 by 3, I'm going to get -30. Work out the input when the output is 24. So instead of working with the arrows, we're now working backwards. So essentially we are going to work backwards, so the opposite of minus multiplied by 3 is divide by 3, and the opposite of -8 is +8. So now we're going to start this end. The input is going to be 24. 24 divided by 3 is 6. 6 plus 8 is 14. ABC is an isosceles triangle. That's interesting, there isn't a triangle drawn. AB is 6 centimeters, AC equals BC equals 5 centimeters. Now at this point you might be thinking, this is difficult, how am I going to do this? I have not been given a triangle, why am I being told all this? Use ruler and compasses to construct triangle ABC. You must show all your construction lines. The line AB has been drawn for you. Okay. So first thing to note, isosceles triangle. We've got to remember isosceles triangle means 2 lines the same length, which it has told us here, and they are both 5 centimeters. The 6 centimeter line is there. Use ruler and compasses to construct angle ABC. So this is where we quote Mr. Kellett, no arcs, no marks. If you simply draw the triangle with a ruler, if the arcs aren't there, you are not going to get the marks, because it says you must show all your construction lines. And it clearly says use ruler and compass. Now sadly I've just been to check with the moustache and we haven't got any compasses on here, so he needs to sort that out. What we would do is we would have a ruler, beautifully drawn ruler. And we need to stretch our compass to 5 centimeters because those are the two lines that we don't have. So compass stretched, 1 point at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 centimeters. Put the point of the compass here, and you would make an arc 5 centimeters away from that point. You then make sure you keep the compass the same 5 centimeters, put the point at the other end of the line, make the other arc 5 centimeters away. This cross is the point where you are exactly 5 centimeters away from this point, and then you simply take your ruler and join them up. I have to stress that you must absolutely be accurate and use a compass. The examiner marking it will have an overlay which they will put on, and you must fit into that overlay within a tolerance. So you stretch your compass out 5 centimeters because that's what it says here. Make your two arcs, join them up. Remember Mr. Kellett's line, no arcs, no marks. 12. At a school fete, Colin is selling drinks. He sells tea, coffee and juice. Marion is selling food. She sells burgers and pizzas. Not exactly promoting healthy eating this, is it? Jensen buys 1 drink and 1 food item. Write down all the possible combinations Jensen can buy. So we'll start with tea. As it says, buy 1 drink. He also buys 1 food item, so he could buy tea and burger, tea and pizza. And what you can do is then select coffee, so we can have coffee and burger, coffee and pizza. And lastly, juice, Ribena, obviously, greatest drink in the world, although others are available. Juice and burger, juice and pizza. Not sure Ribena goes with burger, but there you go. Each burger costs £1.65. Each pizza costs £3.10. Caroline buys 3 burgers and 4 pizzas. She pays with a £20 note. Work how much change she should get. So when you're out at the fun fair, kids, this is going to help you out in case anyone asks, when am I ever going to use this? So 3 burgers, 3 multiplied by £1.65. Let's get the calculator out. So 3 burgers is going to set us back £4.95. Pizzas are £3.10, so 4 pizzas. Why is there more pizzas than burgers? £12.40. Exam technique, always read the question again. Work out how much change she should get. So at this point, it is worth saying, okay, £12.40 plus £4.95 is £17.35. At this point, this question is worth 3 marks. You've probably got 2 marks at this point. Do pay attention to what you've been asked. Has £17.35 answered the question? Work out how much change she should get. She pays with a £20 note. So it's one last simple calculation. £2.65. Question 13. Simplify 9x plus 7y minus 2x minus 10y. So, doing this in class today, simplifying terms, we're going to put the like terms together. So we have x's, and we have plus 7y minus 2x minus 10y and that is plus 9x. So 9x minus 2x plus 7y minus 10y. Like terms have got the same letters. 9x minus 2x leaves us with 7. And 7 take away 10, negative 3. (8t multiplied by 3t). This is where we separate that we've got two things. We have integers to multiply and we have letters to multiply. So 8 multiplied by 3, t multiplied by t, anything multiplied by itself is squared. We have 24t squared. Follow the multiplication symbol, very, very important. Factorise 7h plus h squared. So first thing we need to do is split this up into factors. So we have 7h plus, and this sometimes helps, 1h squared. So highest common factor of 7 and 1 is 7. So we've got 1 multiplied by 7 multiplied by h plus 1 multiplied by 1 multiplied by h multiplied by h. How do I know there are two h's? Because it tells me here. So there we are, all split up into factors. So need my brackets. Pairs go on the outside, so we have a pair of 1s, a 1 could go on the outside. We have a pair of h's, so they can go on the outside. What's left goes in the bracket, so 7 in there, and 1 multiplied by h in there. Now at this point you should know that we don't need the number 1s, so our answer can simply be h 7 plus h. Do write in the number 1 if it helps. If you don't need to, that is fine. It's called being fluent. Okay. Question 14 already. Brilliant. Might get home before midnight. ABCD is a square with sides of length 10 centimeters made from 4 rectangles. ABCD is a square. And they're all 10, fine, so I know they're all the same because it's a square, so that is an important piece of information. Made from 4 rectangles, okay, that all look different sizes. EJG and HGF are straight lines. EJG, yep, that's a straight line. HJF, yep. E is the point on AB. What is that? Go away. E is the point on AB such that AE equals 3 centimeters. Yes, that equals 3 centimeters. Okay, got that. The area of the rectangle DHJ is 12 centimeters squared. So where is DHJ? DHJG is here. So that information I've been told twice. So it must be important. Find the area of the shaded rectangle EBFJ. EBFJ, so I need to find this area. Okay. Important that I pay attention to that. Don't get a ruler out, don't measure it, it's not going to work. So, in order to find the area of a rectangle, I need to know that area is length multiplied by width. If I don't know that, this question is going to be very, very difficult. So I'm trying to find out two sides of this rectangle and then I can work out how big it is. So I must have been told 10 and 3 and 12 for a reason. Now, I know that this is the same length as this one, so that is 3 centimeters. So 3 multiplied by something, because I'm going to refer to my formula. So area equals 3 times the width. Area is 12. So 3 times the width, so therefore the width must be 4. So here, that side is 4, that side is 4. Now that's useful because I know that the distance from C to B is 10 and I know that this distance is 4. So if I take 4 away from 10, this side of my rectangle must be 6 and well on the way to solving this. So what I need to do now is find out what this is. That's fairly straightforward. I know that that is 3, so that is 3, so that is 3. This in total is 10. If that's 3 of the meters, centimeters, this must add up to 10, so this must be 7. This must be 7, so I refer back to my formula. Area is length times width, 7 multiplied by 6. It hasn't asked me to state the units of my answer, so when I scroll down it's probably there for me, which it is, so all I need to do is write in 42 and I've got my 4 marks. Question 15, write down the cube root of 64. Nice and easy question. You've got a calculator, use it, which is what Mr. Pennell would say, you've just got to know where cube root is. Four. Only worth 1 mark, get it right. Calculate the value of 2 cubed multiplied by 4 to the power of 5. So we're testing the calculator skills again here. So 2 cubed multiplied by, nearly got some company then, 4, and this is where we've got to know how to use the calculator. This will allow me to put any power in, 4 to the power of 5. As long as that looks exactly the same as it does on the paper. Yes, it does. The only way this can go wrong is if I type it into the calculator wrong. 8,192. Express 600 as a product of powers of its prime factors. Show you're working clearly. Okay, so the first thing is its product of prime factors, and we'll come to powers when we've finished. So 600.
How's it going, sir?
Ah, the moustache is returned. I'm just expressing 600 as a product of powers of its prime factors, sir. Did you want to come and join in?
No.
No.
You're going to show us it on the calculator as well?
Hang on. Now, just rudely interrupted by the moustache there, telling me to do it on the calculator. Now it says here, show you're working clearly. Don't do it on the calculator, you've got to show you're working clearly. So, factor pair of 600, I'm going to go for 6 and 100 because they multiply to make 600. 6 is not a prime number, so we're going to split that up. 2 is a prime number, 3 is a prime number. It says prime factors, so I'm stopping when I hit a prime number. 100 is not a prime number, so 10 multiplied by 10. 10 is not a prime number. 2 is, 5 is. So this is going to be the same. So this prime factor tree is important. It says show you're working clearly. I want to get all 3 marks. I am well on the way to getting all 3 marks. As a product of powers of its prime factors. So at this point I can put that 600 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, because there are 1, 2, 3 of those, multiplied by 3 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5. So these numbers here are all the ones that I have underlined. Now, that is a product of prime factors. Here it says powers. So, there are 3 number 2's, so that's 2 cubed. There is only 1 number 3, so I can write it as is. 5 has been squared. That is my answer. Just about getting used to this pen now. Question 16. 3 integers have a mean of 7, a median of 5, and a range of 14. Find these the 3 integers. Okay, so I'm going to have knowledge of the 3 averages, at which point you start singing in your head, hey diddle diddle, the median's in the middle, you add and divide for the mean, the mode is the one that is the most, and the range is the difference between. So, 3 integers, A, B and C. Quick hydration break there, children. And adults, if you're watching this. Hi, parents. Okay, so 3 integers have a mean of 7, median of 5 and range of 14. As I've said, need some understanding of how to work out averages. Find the 3 integers. So knowledge again, integers. An integer is a whole number. Very important we understand that, because otherwise you start looking for decimals, you'll be there all year. So a mean of 7. So I know that some 3 numbers have been added up and then divided by 3, and the result of that is 7. So A plus B plus C divided by 3 equals 7. So this is the first clue in what's going on. So I know that if I do 7 multiplied by 3, I get 21, and that is the total of these 3 numbers. So they need to add up to 21. Next thing, median of 5. The median is in the middle. So B is 5. So I'm a bit further on now. I know that something plus 5 plus something must equal 21. A range of 14. The range is the difference between the highest and the lowest. So I need 14 between the highest and lowest. So I could just immediately go, right, 1, 5, and 1 plus 14 is 15. I've now got a range of 14. 15 minus 1 is 14. And I've got 5. Does that add up to 21? Happy days. 15 add 5 is 20, add 1 is 21. There are my 3 answers, 1, 5, and 15. So as I said before, knowledge of how a mean is worked. Median is in the middle, and the range, remembering the range is the highest number minus the lowest number. Right, on we go. Question 17. So I'm immediately faced with a circle inside what looks like a square. I'm sure it will tell me. Diagram not drawn accurately, so again I'm going to have to do the working out. It's not just a case of getting a ruler and cheating. The diagram shows a design made from wire, if you say so. The design is made from a square with a side 70 centimetres, so it is a square, and that's labelled there, 70 centimetres, fine. A circle with a diameter of 40 centimetres, so diameter, again that's previous knowledge. I've got to remember the diameter is the distance across the middle of going through the middle of a circle from side to side, so that from there to there is 40 centimetres. 4 straight pieces of length 15 centimetres, and they're all clearly marked. That's these. Now at this point I'm thinking circles. I'm thinking, well, pi r squared is the area, pi d is the circumference, so I might be using those things, but we shall see. Find the total length of wire needed for the design. Give your answer correct in the nearest centimetre. The total length of wire needed for the design. Now, at this point, total, so all of the wire. The diagram shows a design made from wire, design made from a square, a circle, and the 4 straight pieces. So, I'm going to need the distance around the edge of the square, the distance of these 4 pieces, so that's going to be relatively straightforward, and I need the distance around the edge of the circle, because that is going to give me the total length of wire. So, deal with the easy things first. I've got 4 sides, 70 centimetres each, so I need 4 multiplied by 70 centimetres of wire to make the outside of the square. 4 7s are 28, so I need 280 centimetres to make the square. So that's the square done. So there we go, finished. A circle with a diameter of 40 centimetres is next. So circle with a diameter of 40 centimetres. The diameter is the distance across from side to side through the middle, and I want the distance around the outside, which means I need the circumference. Pi r squared sounds like area to me. When I need a circumference, I just use pi d. So pi multiplied by the diameter. Well, I'm happily have been given the diameter. I don't need to work that out. So need my calculator, which has disappeared. Got the calculator back, no worries. So pi multiplied by the diameter, in this case 40 multiplied, excuse me, pi multiplied by the diameter, not the other way around. So pi multiplied by 40 pi multiplied by 40 equals 40 pi, so press SD, 125 0.66, can't remember the rest, what is it? 37601. Just check that I've got that correct. Decimal points might be important. 4 straight pieces of length 15 centimeters each, very simple. 4 multiplied by 15, which if you know anything about time, a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes, a whole hour is 60 minutes, so 4 15s, 60. Okay, exam technique. I've done some maths, check the question, have I answered the question? Find the total length of wire needed for the design. So, these need adding up. 280 plus 125.637601 plus 60. Equals 365 and the bits 0.663761. You can see I've made an error here. I missed out the 6. Thankfully I didn't do that on the calculator, right? But that would have been a carry through error. So even if I'm making mistakes, they're possible. Again, exam technique, does 365.663761 answer the question? Give your answer correct to the nearest centimetre. So therefore we don't actually want any decimals. Rounding line in. The 6 rounds the 5 up to a 6, 366 centimetres. Question 18. Rachel, Mario and Sanjit share some money based on Rachel's She is Rachel. The ratios 4, 3 and 9. Mario receives £96. Work out the difference between the amount of money received by Rachel and the amount of money received by Sanjit. So, we have got 4 parts, 3 parts, and 9 parts. I know that I've got Rachel, Mario, and Sanjit. And ultimately, I need to do difference. Difference means take away. So I'm going to be doing either, as Sanjit's is the largest number, I'm going to be doing the amount Sanjit gets minus the amount Rachel has got. Still need to work it out. I know that Sanjit receives £96 and that's made up of 3 parts of this money. So 96 divided by 3 is going to tell me how much one part is. 96 divided by 3 is 32. So one part of this money is £32. I know that Rachel receives 4 parts, so she receives 4 multiplied by 32. And I know that Sanjit receives 9 parts, so receives 9 multiplied by 32. Refer to exam technique again. Check if you have answered the question. You've done some maths. Have you answered the question? Work out the difference between the amount of money received by Rachel and the amount of money received by Sanjit. Difference means take away. So I'm going to take the lowest away from the highest. So 288 minus 128. £160, so there's a difference of £160. Ooh, fractions, everyone's favourite, yay. So, show that 5 2/3 minus 3 4/5 is equal to 1 13/15. Now you can put this in your calculator, you'll probably end up with no marks whatsoever, because all it will do is replicate what you're seeing there and then give it to you as a decimal. So we need to know how to subtract mixed numbers, because we've got 5 2/3 is a mixed number, it's an integer and a fraction, and 3 4/5 is an integer and a fraction. Now, as we should know with fractions, if we wrote that out, 5 and 2/3, if we say that out loud, minus 3 and 4/5, it doesn't sound possible, because in that form, although it's possible, we need to change it to make more sense. So we need everything to have the same denominator. Now in this one, it's given us a clue of what that denominator should be, because the answer is in 15ths. So I need to change everything into 15ths. Before I do that, I have to know how to change a mixed number into an improper fraction. So first thing we do is we take the whole number, multiply by the denominator. Then we add the numerator to that. So 5 and 2/3 is 17/3. Haven't changed the denominator yet, we've simply changed from mixed number into improper fraction. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing for 3 and 4/5. So at this point, I now have 17/3 minus 19/5 equals 1 and 13/15. Probably scored some points at this point in time. Total for question 19 is 3 marks. So I've got a mark, but I want all 3. So, as I said before, if we try to do 17/3 take away 19/5, it doesn't make sense. These denominators need to be the same. So we're going to multiply this side by 5 and this side by 3. So we will then have, yes, I am doing 17 multiplied by 5 on a calculator, 85/15 minus 19 got that wrong. 19 lots of 3. 57/15. Now it's straightforward. Now we can see that we're doing 85/15 take away 57/15, and we can have an answer to that. So 85 take away 57 is 28. And that should be enough to get us all 3 marks. To do it, what we do is we would say, right, well, how is 28/15 1 and 13/15? Well, how many 15s are there in 28? There is 1 15 in 28. 28 minus 15 equals 13. So we have one whole. If we had 28 children in the sports hall, and so get into teams of 15, we could have one whole team of 15, and then there would be 13 children left over, which gives us our 1 and 13/15. They would be moaning and saying it's not fair, they've got 2 more players. Question 20. On a grid, draw the graph of y equals minus 2x plus 4 for values of x from -1 to -5. So we need a table of values, because this is going to give us our coordinates for our graph. So we're going to have x and y. This is hard when you're leaning on your elbow. And we need to go from -1 to 5.
Just doing credit, mate, so I'll probably be gone by the time you're wrapping up. One of those.
The moustache has just come in to tell me he's going home. That's how supportive he is. Cheers, mate. You have a nice evening, yeah?
You just click stop when you're ready, sir.
Well, Liverpool are on tonight, so as long as I'm finished by then.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You're going to get kicked up.
So, -1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And our instruction on how to work out y is here. We're going to work out the y value by doing -2 lots of x and then adding 4. So we're going to start at the positive end. So I need -2 lots of 5 plus 4. So 2 lots of 5 is 10, but that's, as it's -2 lots of 5, it's -10 plus 4. -10 plus 4 is -6. -2 lots of 4 is -8, plus 4 is -4, and you should start to see something happening. -2 lots of 3 is -6, plus 4 is -2, and you should see now that there is a difference of 2. This isn't a coincidence, we are multiplying by 2, it should be happening. So therefore I can say it confidently, say that that is 0, that is 2, that is 4, and that is 6. So now I've got all the coordinates I need, and all I've got to do is plot them on the graph. So we'll start with -1, 6, -1, 6, 0, 4, 1, 2, 2, 0, 3, -2, 4, -4, and 5, -6. If I've done this right, they will all be in a line. If any of them aren't in the line, then I need to go back to my table of values and check. You would be surprised the amount of times I mark papers and people plot the coordinates and then do not do the last bit. Exam technique, go back and read the question. On the grid, draw the graph. I haven't drawn a graph at this point in time. I have plotted some points. So, as obvious as it might seem, I have marked a lot of these where people simply do not draw the line. Don't get it, don't understand it, never will. It says draw the graph. The line is the graph. Please draw the line. Sorry, I don't know if you want to see Mr. Stringer's timetable particularly there. So please draw the line. Show by shading on the grid the region defined by all three of the inequalities. Y is less than or equal to -2x plus 4. Now I've already drawn the line -2x plus 4. That's on there. As it turns out, I haven't quite drawn that line long enough because I haven't extended all the way. And it's actually going to be important. So the y value is less than or equal to the line -2 plus 4, which means I need to be this side of that line because every y value there is going to be less than that line. Y is greater than or equal to -4, so I actually need to draw the line y equals -4. Now, prior learning, prior knowledge, how do you draw a line? Well, Mr. Cheeseman will always tell you whenever you draw a set of axes to mark that not only is the x-axis, it's also y equals 0, because every y coordinate on this line is in line with 0. We haven't gone up, we haven't gone down. On the y-axis we are at 0. This asks us to be at -4, so y is -4, there is -4 on the y-axis. So dead simple, get my ruler and draw the line y equals -4. Look at that, awesome. So y is greater than or equal to -4, so therefore I'm going to be above that line. Everything there is greater than or equal to -4. And the last one, x is greater than or equal to 1. So again, I'm drawing the line, x is 1. So we go back to the teachings of the Cheeseborough. Up here, he would always encourage you to draw, say this is the y-axis, and it's also the line x equals 0. Because we have not moved along the x-axis. We are always equal to 0 on the x-axis, we haven't moved. This is telling us to go to 1 on the x-axis. Okay, there is 1 on the x-axis, and we need to draw a line through that. the way down the graph. No cheating this time. And it says x is greater than or equal to 1. So that's this side of that line, which means this arrow, actually I want here, because that's where I need to be. Let's read the question. Show by shading on the grid the region defined by all three of the inequalities. Label your region R. So the last thing to do, if I can just get rid of these arrows, that is my region R. That little right angled triangle in there, which has somehow moved. I don't know. It should be much further down. That's the software doing that, not me. But if that line was still down here on -4, R would still be in the same place.
See you later, mate. Hello, everyone. Sorry, Mr. Macready's had to shoot off.
Bye.
See you later, Mr. Macready. However, I know he hasn't finished the last couple of questions, but we will get round to finishing those for you. So, the curious amongst you who want to know, come and see me or Mr. Macready or any Year 11 teacher for that matter, and we can find out how to do the question 23 and question 22. They're not as hard as you think, though, if you do think they're hard. Anyway, I hope it's been useful, Mr. Macready. I know he's a very, very different teacher to me, but yeah, I reckon he's a bit better. Don't tell him that, though. Anyway, it's me signing out. Have a good day. Thank you for watching.